Salutations, fellow G-fan. You may be curious as to the circumstances surrounding my attire this evening, to which I will gladly enlighten you. You see, having now visited a country so foreign to me as Japan, I have grown accustomed to the finer things in life, such as purchasing highly expensive, highly artistic Godzilla action figurine pieces. You're hard, bitch. You see, having toured the country from which our lords and saviors Godzilla, Ultraman, and all the other kaiju and uchujin originate, I've transcended the standard plane of existence for other fans of kaiju eiga, and as such I see it as my duty to enlighten you all about what a Godzilla fan's experience in Japan is like. So, sit back, relax, grab a beverage of your choosing, and listen as I recount the tale of the Daikaiju Legends Japan trip in 2019. Our journey began with a car ride up to my cohort, Taylor Minster's brother's house. You may know him as the owner of our affiliate channel, Daikaiju Vlogs, where you can see extended videos relating to not only this trip, but our other outings as well.
Well, G fans, we made it to our destination. The rest stop. Time to take a fucking shit.
We traveled to the Chicago O'Hare International Airport, which happened to be right across the street from the esteemed Crown Plaza Hotel, where a certain convention surrounding the Big G would be held the moment we would return to the States. And after a long 20 hours of traveling across the world, we finally arrived in Tokyo, Japan. The first morning after we arrived brought with it something very special for myself. One small desire of mine has always been to see an episode of an Ultraman series premiere live on television in Japan. And wouldn't you know it, that's exactly what was scheduled to happen at 9 AM on Saturday, July 6th. Who could have predicted that? The first episode of Ultraman TAIGA premiered on Tokyo TV, and we got to see it live right in our hotel room. Let me tell you, nothing will compare to sitting in front of the TV anxiously awaiting through whatever was being shown beforehand for that moment of pure giddiness when the episode started. So I thankfully get to cross this monumental life event off of my bucket list. Obviously, the only thing that could possibly compare to seeing Ultraman premiere live in TV on Tokyo would be seeing kaiju merchandise just sitting on store shelves. One of the first places that we got to see this was at a really unique store called YOTOBASHI Camera, sort of an all-purpose, multi-leveled complex where each floor was dedicated to a different type of product or media. One such floor was catered to collecting and figurines, and here we were treated to an absolute sensory overload of seeing tokusatsu figures and collectibles sitting on shelves, including stuff that wasn't even available yet. Yeah, we got to see the SSSS Gridman vinyl figures in person before you did. The amount of clout I now possess is immeasurable. Inside this level was also a huge statue of Gypsy Avenger from Pacific Rim Uprising. And even though I'm not the biggest Pacific Rim nut, this made me feel like a little kid. Being an Ultraman fan, I of course had to visit an M78 Ultraman World store to see what they had. Spark Doll vinyls and other cool miscellaneous merchandise galore. One thing that was especially cool to see was the Ultraman TAIGA suit that stood in front of the store. So damn cool to see an official suit in person. Pachinko parlors are loud and obnoxious and an assault on the senses, and we found one that's Ultraman themed, and a Godzilla one that we didn't get pictures of. While in Shinjuku, we saw the Godzilla Hotel, but did not stay in it because have you seen the cost per night? Also in Shinjuku was the esteemed Godzilla store, where you can revel in the fact that it's actually just a small corner of a much larger mall-type complex. Still, this was super exciting to see, and all the exclusive merch they had, some of which I nabbed myself, which we'll see later, almost made me feel like a mini dealer's room at G-Fest. Plus, we got to see Hedorah in a raincoat. Come on, that's the most adorable shit that I've seen since Gojiban. Traveling to Daiba City brought us to a unique destination in the form of a life-sized Gundam unicorn statue. This thing was super imposing to look at, and it even had some moving and light up pieces during a light and sound show that would happen every so often in the evening. Inside the mall complex behind it was a Gundam cafe and Gundam Universe store, which was basically a huge celebration of Gunpla model kits. So damn cool to see not only the progression of the kits, but also the fact that they had nearly every single goddamn one on display ever and available for purchase. A total sensory overload of Gundam and one of the coolest stores we saw in Japan for sure. Ginza was home to this Shin Godzilla statue, which was completely amazing to finally see in person. This used to actually be a Heisei Godzilla statue to my knowledge, but Shin made a little bit of money, so it got changed out. But you won't see me complaining about seeing some rep for one of my all-time favorites. There was also a super small Godzilla store right next to it that had some cool stuff like an X Plus made to resemble the statue, as well as this fucking adorable Kamada-kun charging cable leader. I spent 500 yen on this. Are you guys proud of me? One day while walking down the street, we happened to notice a building marked with a familiar figure company's logo. And lo and behold, we had somehow stumbled across a little X Plus designer studio. Peeking inside with the door seemingly left open, we noticed nobody in there, but some nearby shelves and desks housed stuff like a gigantic Awakening Shin Godzilla, a 25cm Legion, and some stuff that I hadn't even seen before, and I don't know what it was. Didn't get to snap many pictures, but this was an amazing little surprise to find. Just like Ultraman, Godzilla, and Gundam, Evangelion actually has its own stores in Tokyo as well. We took a trip to this little section of a mall and were greeted with all sorts of model kits and Reveltech toys and art books and body pillows and pill boxes, and the over-commercialization of Evangelion became clearer by the second.
That you were not gonna tease your friends.
I regret nothing.
Do you know that feeling of your first time at G-Fest in the dealer's room where you're so overwhelmed by all the amazing kaiju merchandise in person that you can't help but feel like a little kid in a candy store? Yeah, Mandarake gave me that feeling at the ripe age of 20. If you don't know, Mandarake is a collection of secondhand stores all over Tokyo that have the best selection of obscure and rare and highly sought after kaiju goodies. You can of course import stuff from their online store, but man, the feeling of being in the stores was like no other. Seriously, the amount of stuff that I saw that were near grail status of collectibles for me, or stuff that I didn't even know about until being in Mandarake, like this figure of Hibino Mirai from Mebius. And had I much more disposable income in my life, I would have still come back home bankrupt. Be wary of Mandarake, young kaiju fan. There's a little part of Tokyo known as Ultra Town, which is located near the home which once belonged to a certain Eiji Tsuburaya. While the house is near impossible to get even close to, the Ultraman statue was an awesome sight to see. And there were other posters and banners all over the town paying homage to the classic shows, which was super cool as well. But let me tell you, even compared to seeing one of your heroes in statue form, nothing compares to what every G-fan dreams of seeing if they go to Japan. We got to see Toho Studios in all its glory from the outside. Yeah, as it turns out, they don't offer tours to just about anyone. But still, knowing that you're standing at the place where your childhood films were made is awe-inspiring, to say the least. Donning the outside of the building are enormous murals paying tribute to not only the Big G, but Akira Kurosawa's classic film Seven Samurai as well. And there was a Mothra mural in the back lot off limits, but still. This was an absolute highlight of the trip, and if you ever get the chance to go to Japan, the 40-minute walk we had to take from the train station to see this even for a short bit was completely worth it.
So, now that you've heard all about this life-changing, life-enhancing, and buck-wild of an experience, I'm sure you're simply salivating at the gullet to see what I've brought back to the homeland. Well, I'll show you, but don't get too envious now.
What was once a Grail status figure and is now in my possession, this is the Marmot Shin Godzilla Awakening version. Honestly, before this trip I wasn't quite too interested in the artsy looking Marmot figures and such, but now I'm totally hooked. And this guy is amazing, boasting a cool, almost translucent looking paint job with a great sculpt and big size to boot. He's an instant favorite of my collection. How much did he cost? Well, I found out that you only need one kidney to live, so go me! If we're talking stuff I never knew existed, check out this super cool Bullmark Ultraman Orb Dark Noir Black Schwartz figure. There's hardly any stylized figures of new gen Ultras or Kaiju, which officially makes me the only person to be disappointed by that fact. So of course when I saw this in the Nakano Mandarake complex, I just had to pick up a figure to represent my love for my President Aizen. Oh wow, what's this? A stylized Redman figure. Boring. Same old, you may say. But just you wait, sure, the blood splatter on the red knife is a great detail and the glittery vinyl makes this guy pop. But the real surprise comes when you tug on the helmet a bit and oh, holy shit, it's Kenichi Kusumi. Another Shin Godzilla figure, this one's a Japanese Godzilla store exclusive. Unless you buy it from eBay sellers for 4 times the normal price point, that is. This thing's based on the Shin Godzilla statue in Ginza we discussed earlier, and honestly, this is one of the coolest Bandai vinyls I think I've seen. I have no clue what this thing specifically is, but for 12 bucks in a Mandarake, I snagged this 2-foot-tall Ultraman figure. I won't mention how I saw this same thing in terrible condition for 6 times the price at a certain nameless dealer's room booth at G-Fest days after, but that's beside the point. This thing's a monster, and is my favorite representation of the OG Ultraman that I've got in my collection. I found this... oh. Yeah, this dude's currently being held hostage by my pal Yao Yao 9 while she performs figure surgery on it to fix some broken horns. But for 35 bucks, a boxless Daraco X Plus figure with just a broken horn? Come on, have you seen the garbage that Evolution Toy tries to sell for $80? The Bandai Showa Grand King. I've wanted this dude for years and found him for 10 bucks, so I figured why the hell not? I can skip dinner tonight. And I enjoyed watching Ultraman TAIGA premiere so much that I bought these two guys at a YOTOBASHI camera the day after. Yeah, I don't usually collect the Spark dolls much anymore, but this little TAIGA and Hellberos are a little sentimental to me now. A cool exclusive piece from the Godzilla store, I'm now the proud owner of a Mothra beanie cap, making me the first person to ever say that! Also at the Godzilla store, I got these little art books for 2 of my all-time favorite kaiju. These things are honestly so cool. For 10 bucks a pop, you get all sorts of super high quality behind the scenes photos of productions with the characters, including my new favorite photo of Titanosaurus. I considered ordering this online to have Shusuke Kaneko sign at G-Fest 26, but held off due to high shipping costs, and told myself if I saw it in Japan, I'd go for it, and I bet you can't guess what happened next. Most of the gachapons I got were souvenirs for friends and family, but I got a few for myself in the form of 2 little chibi Red King and Black King figurines. These are just some fun little pieces to have as memories. From the Gundam Cafe in Daiba City, I got a Gundam rifle, water pistol, and an inflatable shield and beam saber. Don't ask me how I got these through US Customs. And I have not taken these out of the packaging because come on, these are absolutely prime collector's items. I picked up Super Mario RPG for the Super Famicom. Can't play it, but getting the original version of one of my all-time favorite games for 5 bucks, how could I not? And for the grand finale, I picked up a book that catalogs every single Ultra Kaiju, up to Ultraman Leo. This thing is chock full of awesome production pictures, and it's just cool to have such a simple place to have every single Kaiju and alien cataloged in one place.
So, now that you've relished in my elegance, having learned of my wondrous travels and wealth of new collectibles, I'm sure you've attained a level of jealousy, the likes of which have never been seen before. After all, I'm the only G-fan that's ever been to Japan. If you wish to peruse more of our exciting travels in the land of the rising sun in great detail, in videos not procured by myself, head on over to Daikaiju Vlogs, where you can see all sorts of travel videos and other miscellaneous vloggery. Ciao. Oh.
Thanks again to all of our fabulous Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/Daikaiju Legends. Still working on that new splash screen, but today I would like to thank Liquid Pestar, Justice, Project Godzilla, Goji73, Deadzilla, Riverlane, Jaws Infinity, GWRzilla, Mason Ramon, That One Godzilla Fan, Ultriab, William Zorio, Kaiju X, Johnny Sacco, Jeff King, Saint Nick, and Hayden Bell. Thank you all so much again for your support. And I hope that everyone enjoyed this video. And we are starting to release some really exclusive cool Patreon content on our Patreon page. So if you want to check that out, consider supporting us. For $1 a month, you get access to our Discord and all the exclusive sneak peeks and previews and videos in the Patreon feed. So check that out.